The following program is a special presentation of the Big Ten Network, produced in association with the University of Wisconsin.
Harpoon. Bounce our back that over.
I just got harpooned. Right in the back. I'm bleeding chocolate. A big old wound.
Wait a minute.
I'm bleeding chocolate. A big old wound.
Wait a minute, now he rhyming. He can rap too.
So we're gonna get things kicked off here. In an earlier show, we talked about how this fierce economic recession we're in right now is going to affect our employment prospects after we graduate. We haven't talked as much about how it's affecting student life right now on campus. I feel as though I haven't been feeling the pinch as much as some of my friends, but nonetheless, I still find myself holding back. I still find myself not spending as much, being much more careful about when I go out and how I spend my money. What do you guys think?
I agree, and this is going to sound really, I don't know if it's going to sound bad, but I feel as though a lot of times myself and some of my other friends who like to shop, you know, and they'll kind of capitalize on these poor businesses who are closing and have all these big sales, and it's actually becoming tempting to spend more, which is what they want, obviously.
It's true.
But yeah, I find myself practicing more self-restraint, and I don't really need this, or at least I don't need it right now, so I'll wait. And
I definitely agree with that. You definitely look out for, you know, how many times you go out to eat, or when you go grocery shopping, you like to buy in bulk and stuff like that. So.
And I feel like it's not necessarily because it directly affects us right this very minute, but it's because we know that in 1 year from now it's going to be, and we really want to, you know, take caution so that before we get to that point, we're not already.
But I think it is
overspending.
I think it's trickling down though, because I know for a lot of people, like their parents help them out. Like every now and then, you know, my mom and my dad, they would help me out, but because you know a lot of people got laid off and a lot of stuff happened at home, that they had to, you know, cut back on giving me money, which in turn, you know, I had to get another job. So it does trickle back down and affect us here on the campus.
It really does. And I think my mother, sometimes when I find myself shopping, like yesterday, Mom, I hope you're not watching this. Yesterday I bought a pair of shoes with $100, okay? I had no business. I said I was buying books, I lied. And
see, you know what?
But I really, really wanted these shoes, you know. And I felt that, I mean, as far as, you know, I think we are more cautious about the way that we spend money, you know. But I really feel like as students, we don't really go out and just have shopping sprees. You know, we want to go out and have a good time.
You almost held back, but you ended up buying them anyway.
Yes, exactly. See,
no, I had every intention on buying those shoes.
Honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't spend any money. I feel bad about doing it, but I hardly spend any money on anything frivolous. Like shopping, maybe Christmas. But rather than that, like, I don't go shopping. Like, I go to the movies every now and then, but rather than that, like, I wish I could just go out there and be like, you know, I'm just going to treat myself to this, but I can't do that. I know I have to spend my money on either books or rent, whatever.
Well, speaking of money and spending money, a lot of students have to rely on student loans. And, you know, that's just the only way they can really get through school. They don't have the means, they don't have the support maybe from their parents. And do you think that student loans are kind of a necessary evil? I mean, I personally have a lot of support from my parents, which is I'm very fortunate to have, but I know a lot of people who do get into trouble with these student loans.
If you take out too many and you're irresponsible with it, but I think an unnecessary evil, if you don't need it, you shouldn't take it out. But for situations when you have an emergency, like, you know, you have a bill to pay or you really need books, you know, having an opportunity to take out an emergency loan here, I think is great.
Exactly.
It's great.
I have a friend who actually just graduated and she had $40,000 in debt coming out of her undergrad. And I'm lucky enough to graduate completely debt-free. So I don't have that extra burden on, you know, deciding like, do I go back to school or do I go to work? Because I need to, you know, start working on some of this debt that I've accumulated. I feel here at the university, we really do a good job in assisting students. Personally, I know that some of you do disagree that the financial aid package for some students is very insignificant, but for me, I felt that it also supplemented my scholarship that I received from being an out-of-state student because you do have certain expenses that you need to work on.
I think the wisest students who do take out loans are those who try to pay off some of them during their undergraduate experience, right? So through work study, through research jobs on campus, being cognizant while you're in school that you're going to have to pay those back at some point is important to sort of getting yourself ready and in a place to be able to
it doesn't quite register.
Afford your education.
It doesn't quite register right now. Like, when you get that financial aid check, you're like, oh my gosh, I just got $4,000 or whatever. So it doesn't quite register that, a couple years
That is not your money, really.
Yes,
It's not your money.
And that forethought, I mean, I'm wondering, because all these student loan packages are just thrown at students, and you can get loans here and money from there and everything. Do you feel as though our generation, I guess, is lacking that forethought, that the future and what the future is going to hold and how much we really have to pay back?
Instant gratification, that's the name of our generation.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of students don't have that financial savvy. Like, they didn't get it from their friends. My mother, I was fortunate enough, once again, to have learned how to save money and how to be, fiscally responsible and making sure that bills are first and things that need to be done are done first. But a lot of students, they don't know. So when they get those lump sum checks, they're just like, oh my goodness, I never had this kind of money in my pocket. And so they go through and they blow it, and in turn they still have all this debt from stuff that they still need to pay.
This program is a production of the University of Wisconsin-Madison. If you have comments about this broadcast, please email us at programming@uc.wisc.edu.
I'm getting cute.
You're getting cute, girl.
So obviously, as college students, we're very worried about money, and we're worried about our access to money. So a lot of students in that kind of crunch turn to credit cards, which is obviously money that you don't have to worry about right at that second. You can maybe buy that $100 pair of shoes and not have to worry about paying it back till later. Personally, I think credit cards are way out of hand. We are living in a time period where you need to be closely monitoring your money, and when people are spending money that they don't have and they don't have access to, and then you're acquiring interest rates, and I just think it's something that we should definitely stay away from.
I think it's definitely dangerous too, because you're dealing, it's credit, it's numbers. You're dealing with numbers. I'm subtracting this many, this sum, but it's not physical money. And I feel as if, people, when they're paying with cash and they see exactly how much they're losing from their wallet, it makes a bigger impact. I'm not saying you should just go out and spend everything, just spend cash. But yeah, I agree. Credit cards, huge, huge problem, and people just max out card after card after card.
And I think it's dangerous because students are in a very vulnerable situation in college. You don't have money to begin with, and so credit companies will come to the campus and prey on students who don't have the cash in their wallets to pay for books and tuition and food and so on and so forth. And so they take on debt that they necessarily can't afford, but they're in a position where it almost becomes necessary. It's almost like a necessary evil.
I agree 100% with Jeff about that, how, a lot of credit card companies, they go to places where they know they can spot you. And a college campus is a prime place where, people are here and they're not, the richest person on earth, and we are in times of need right now. So I just think that, it's kind of like a prey on type of relationship that
But that's our responsibility. That's our responsibility as students, as being financially and fiscally responsible, to say, hey, I know that this credit card has, insane out of this world interest rates. I'm not going to fall into that.
But see, that's about the education of credit cards. Students don't understand. I really believe that students don't understand. Not all students, but people don't understand what an interest rate is or the principal and all of these terms. They're just signing this to know I'm going to get this card in my pocket. I'm going to be able to go spend this money when I feel like it. I'm going to be able to pay it back, the minimum $10 to $20 a month, not realizing that you're accruing more debt by doing something like that.
And like Jeff was saying about, it's a necessary evil. It's not just necessary for people who may not have the money immediately available. It's also necessary to get a job, to get a mortgage, to build up your good credit. And I feel like people, like you said, aren't educated enough when it comes to credit cards. You have to pay these things off immediately.
Okay, so let's talk about the role that parents should play in the college education. So basically the question I'm asking is, if your parents are financially able, should they help you out while you're in college? And I definitely think that this subject can be a double-edged sword, because you need help while you're in college. If you have all these classes, 18 credits, full credit load or whatever, and you have to worry about how you're gonna pay your bills, it can really hurt your academics. But at the same time, your parents helping you out every time, you're not gonna learn how to be responsible about your grades, put your academics first, because you always know that you have mom and dad to bail you out if you need that.
Exactly. I agree with you, Mike. I think it's important for parents to help instill a really good work ethic among their kids, right? I mean, you want your children to be very responsible. At the same time, you don't want them to graduate with a lot of debt and in a position where they're taking jobs that they might not otherwise take, but doing so out of a necessity of paying down their debt, right? Yeah. I mean, it kind of forces students and graduates to maybe sacrifice what they would like to end up doing in the long run.
And it teaches kids, I just think really like not helping the kid out, it can help him out in the long run because it teaches him how to, stand up by themselves and, find a way. That was my main thing here is, if I didn't have it, I had to go out, find a resource,
Exactly.
I disagree with that though, because okay, speaking from experience I have a younger brother who's gonna be coming into college next year. And he has a friend whose parents have the means to at least help with college expenses, not necessarily maybe pay the full ride, but help. And they won't. And it's kind of caused him to kind of take a nosedive, and I don't care about academics so much anymore. He's gotten involved with things he maybe shouldn't have gotten involved with. And I feel like that can happen. If I can't pay for it, why bother anymore?
Well, does he have a job?
He has a job working for his family. His family owns a business, and so he works for the family.
Working for them, and I go get me a real job because
where they're going to be
don't
tough
care
on
about
you.
him
But
going to school.
Right, and it's just really frustrating to me, and that's why I feel as though parents have an obligation to take care of their children. If they can't provide for them necessarily fiscally,
You're not a child anymore, though.
Yeah, but there needs to be a balance,
yeah,
though, and
exactly.
that's the problem. I think a really good solution, this is what my parents do, they pay for my tuition, but I'm left to pay for everything else. So I still need to have a job, I still need to be fiscally responsible, and I need to be able to balance my schedule, but I'm not having everything given to me, And I'm also not ending up with huge amounts of debt when I graduate from college, which is really important. You don't want to go into your first job thinking that you need to go to the place where you can make the most money. You want to go to some place that you're excited to work and that that you're passionate about.
That would be the ideal thing to do, definitely.
But I think, it's still a case-by-case basis because my parents do pay for tuition and housing. Smile is.
What is that?
She's trying not to smile. That's her remedy.
That looks bad. Don't do that.
Being here at college, a lot of us, we need that extra money to get that extra pair of shoes that we don't really need, But being a student, do you feel that it's a necessity to have a job? If you do have a job as a student, are you able to balance that job along with your academics?
I think it's important to have a job. Not only to have extra income, but to have that extra experience, especially, depending on what kind of job you want. It might even be more beneficial because it might be in your line of work. But it can take its toll. It can take its toll. And I think if you're really focused on keeping your academics just as high, you will. But I know personally I've had experiences where I've had a job and I've had, kind of a long commute to that job. I've had to take public transportation. It takes a while, and it takes a lot out of me. And by the time I get home, I have to do homework, and it's just so draining. And it took a toll on my health. It took a toll on my health more than my academics. But I think for everyone, it's a little bit different, and it really does. It really can. It can make certain parts of your life suffer.
I agree with Meredith that it is important to have a job, but it's all about what kind of job. Like a little part-time job where you work, between 4 and 12 hours a week, I don't think there's a problem with that. But like, for example, my stepdad, he worked 5 jobs when he was in college. As a result of that, like how in the world can you have, that's paying for everything. He didn't get any help. And, because of that, I think that's the reason that he didn't end up finishing. So, it needs to be a balance. If you have a job, it's just a little part-time job, just have a little pocket change, not UGG money. We don't need that much money, but just little pocket change.
I think it's important to have a job because then you understand how much money you're spending and what you're spending your money on. When you have a job, you're saying, okay, I'm working this amount of hours and I just made, I'm making $10 an hour. Then you're calculating that out. When you're spending it, you're like, there goes 15 hours of my work right now.
No money.
You're less likely to spend that.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think it's really difficult to have more than a part-time job and excel in academics. To be working 25, 30, 35, 40 hours a week while being in school full-time is really tough. I don't know many people who can do it. Yeah, I think your academics would be sacrificed in that sense.
Yeah. Like, when would you find time to do that?
40 hours.
There are people who do it, though. There are people who hold down jobs full-time to try to pay for their tuition and books, and
I would advise people to do that.
Those people are not taking 18 credits.
Do you think, okay, if that's the necessity, if that's your situation, you have to do that, is that better to work during class, or is it better to take a few years work, get money, and then,
I think the latter in that, exactly, or work during the summer. So one question I want to throw out there is, what do you guys think students on campus spend too much money on? I personally would say food. I like to go out a lot. I like to wine and dine with friends, and it just comes right out of the wallet. I find myself spending more money on wine and dining.
I think booze, really.
We'll go out and
there's so many, I feel like there's so many,
Totally to that.
there's so many students on this campus that will go into liquor stores and stock up like the world's gonna end.
Keg,
Or like they're throwing a huge, and they'll have this excuse like, oh well, I'm gonna have a party in my apartment, or I've always this will last me for like a month, and half of it's gone by the next day.
Let's be honest though, we live in Madison. It's not like we're in New York spending money on booze. Like we have $3 rail drinks everywhere you go. It's not. That's not. I don't think that's the biggest one of our concerns.
But I mean, people. Then I think that's more of a reason for a lot of people to buy alcohol. Then they end up spending more money on it because like, well, it's cheap. I can buy a lot of it. I'll buy it in bulk.
Yeah, I think students spend too much money on parties, especially in our community. And then like they offer you like a VIP. It's okay, like, yeah, I'm gonna throw my money on that VIP. You know, like you sit in the back room.
How can you be mad because young student organizations making a profit on campus?
No,
that's not the money. That's young people learning how to run a business. I think the thing that we spend too much money on is books. I don't understand why a book is $100. I do not get that.
And you take it back and get 10.
And the resale value exactly is 10, 15.
And then they get a new edition every single year, so you have to keep buying them.
I hate that.
So. But I mean, that's not even a choice that we have.
I think it's a choice.
Oh, it is. You gotta be creatively savvy with your books.
Go on to Amazon.com. I did that for my law book this semester. It was supposed to be $100. I went on Amazon. I got it with expedited shipping for $70. Which I mean, that's still really expensive, but that's saving $30.
$30.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's your meal, you know.
That's wine and dining right there. $30.
Mike, you'll come out with us next weekend.
I will be there. Yeah, I'll be the third
I still
wheel.
feel like some cases people are still up against the wall and they have to buy books. I mean, when I think of spending too much, I think on things that people could live without.
But I think that charging that much for a book is unnecessary. $100 for a book. I mean, I just don't quite get it.
I mean, I suppose you can go to a library and look at it, but...
I think more so than books, though. Like, let's look at things like clothes. I have Bop, the store Bop is across the street from us.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, for shirts, it's $150.
That's State Street, though.
But for college students to be spending that kind of money, to me, that's just saying.
This program is a production of the University of Wisconsin-Madison. If you have comments about this broadcast, please email us at programming@uc.wisc.edu.
Headphones, and I grabbed the headphones, and the shock went through the headphones.
Smart.
So being here on campus, as a student, I really have to think about, because personally, I feel like I'm financially savvy. And being on campus, you have to think about all of the free things that we get as far as with our student segregated fees. So what do you think are the best ways here on campus to save money?
I think just not impulse buying. I think a lot of people have problems with that, where they'll walk down the street and they'll be like, oh, that looks really cool, or I could probably use that. And they have to kind of almost, and that's kind of how they think. I probably could use that. Like they have to talk themselves into buying something. Just wait.
I say cooking in.
Exactly.
I've started to do that this year, and I'm saving a ton of money. And it's not great, right? It's not great by any means. Chicken and rice, really simple meals. I'll cook some pasta because it takes like 10 minutes. And sometimes it gets bland after a while, but it's, I'm saving $10 a meal. And if you get into a habit of doing that every week, then
it's hard to take time out. You got to thaw the food out.
You got to do it. Like I cook all the time, and you just have to really plan to cook.
I could be studying. That's 10 minutes I could chill and watch TV before I start studying.
But you could make a bigger portion and just save it.
Well, I don't want the same thing for 5 days. I don't want chili or spaghetti.
I mean, all 5 days.
That's what
we used to do at my house. My mom would make a big pot of spaghetti. We would have spaghetti for like a week. After one, oh my God, spaghetti again. Like it just. I can't do that.
But I think as far as students go, especially here on campus, I've participated with the Free Hour Fridays. I participate in plenty of the lectures, and there's plenty of free food to go around, So I'm telling you, students really need to become more savvy in their event planning on campus and check that TITU out.
I'm guilty of not taking advantage of all the things that we have available to us, and I'm going to be graduating in a few months, and it's kind of like, well, shoot. Yeah.
Stuff like healthcare, we don't even realize we're getting that. Like healthcare, LexisNexis, for example, like the library system that we have, all of that stuff, that's not going to be free anymore when we graduate.
That's great.
So let's really, appreciate that.
To have everything except vision
free
and
flu
dental.
shots.
It's great,
Yeah, it's crazy how much stuff we have access to.
I haven't quite figured out the best way to save money rather than just don't spend any. That's basically all I can say. Like, I know a thing that I do is I'll take out money from the ATM. I'll take out $20, and like that's the best thing for me to do is know, okay, I have $20 in my pocket. Not my debit card, not a credit card, but
yeah.
I got $20.
I mean, but that's also a good point. You know, not spending as much, but not spending isn't necessarily saving. Like how much are you actually putting away?
Okay, team, it's time for famous final words. All right, first one, moving back home. One word, go.
Never.
That's my word, oh my God.
I'll go with outsider. Outsider.
Okay, I'm gonna say hard to adjust.
It's not one word.
Okay, fine, a phrase. Hard to adjust. Going home even on breaks is hard to adjust that.
Man, I could never move back home. It's 6 of us. I don't even have a room. I'll be living in a closet. Like,
yeah, I stay in my brother's room. My brother's like, man, when did you leaving? Like, I feel like a bum.
I'd probably feel the same way. I mean, even if I were working, I just...
Okay, but also...
You need to grow up, I guess.
Exactly.
You need to grow up. You have to get out of the house. You have to have your own life. That's the way it
And once you get your own, it's so hard to go back and live under mom's rules and...
But also practical to a certain extent. I mean, if you're gonna be saving money, if you're coming out, especially if what we were talking about before, you're coming out with debt, go back home for a little bit.
Especially if it's for like a short, a short-term period, right? If I can see one summer after you graduate, maybe, going back and
like
checking up with the folks.
But like a year or two of saving up, I think that would be horrible. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, next one, let's go. Starting salary.
Oh, I'm not expecting much.
Yeah, low.
Low.
Well, I'm shooting high. I'm in the healthcare field, okay? I'm trying to get paid.
I'm going to be living like a pauper next year.
I'm just going to be trying to get any type of salary, not a free internship.
I think
A regular job that doesn't, the salary rather than, hourly would be nice.
Yeah, salary period I think would be nice.
Yes.
I don't have like a specific number. I mean, at one time, or one day I'd like to be, at a point where I don't have to worry about anything, but who knows?
What about people that base their job choices around their starting salaries?
Well, I think sometimes it's necessary. I mean, depending on where, if I'm gonna have to move out somewhere, but they're not paying me enough to actually make this move, and you just can't do that.
And if you have loans, if you write student debt, you need to pay that down. I mean, a lot of students make their job choices based on how much they're going to pay.
Let's say there's a scenario where like there's somebody who's a lawyer, but he really hates being a lawyer, and because he really hates his job, he's not going to have any passion in protecting the people that he's supposed to be doing. He's not going to be doing his job to the best of his ability.
There are plenty of people in the world who do jobs
And that's a different question.
Right.
They don't
But I'm saying, but he took on the job because he knows.
The preceding program was produced by the University of Wisconsin in association with the Big Ten Network.